when I play a character, I love to look at what are they not good at. That to me is a huge sandbox to play in.
It is an honor to speak with you both, honestly. Mark, thank you so much for the time, and as well for Sheila as well. Sheila, I love your work, and I really appreciate the chance to chat with you about it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, man. Happy to
Thank
be here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have to admit that I really loved this film. It is so dark and intense.
Oh,
Yeah,
come on. It's a
yeah,
light comedy.
yeah.
Come
We
on.
Sorry, sorry.
it's very different from the three posters I'm seeing: The Lion King, Back to the Future, and That Thing You Do.
Yeah.
Wildly, wildly different.
There's some Lion King in there. There's some
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lion King.
yeah. There's some, issues. There's
If
some
you really want to pull that
issues.
out, we can
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
that. There's some
yeah.
shades. It is very different than these sorts of film. This is an incredibly, actually quite scary film, and I've seen other films try to do this. This really turns it up a notch. Mark, where did it come from?
Um, I think the cycle of parenthood and childhood are so linked, and it is a cycle that is connected. That I've always thought about the way you're brought up and the way you're treated by your parents will naturally be duplicated by the way you treat them when they're older and they need help. And also this idea that this parallel between what we see as possession in movies and dementia, are that parallel is quite strong. And I felt like in movies it's often like a young child who gets possessed, and they just kind of like, not to diminish, I love some of those movies, but they kind of scream and shout and stuff. And I actually thought like the information will be more interesting. So what if a matriarch it happened to, and she has several kids, and she kind of infects them through her health troubles. So to me, it was all those things kind of combined.
I want to come back to that word infection in a moment. I do, because I think that's so important to this particular film. But Sheila, what was your impression of Harriet? I mean, this is a wild role for you to step into, and you do such a wonderful job.
Thank you. Well, oh, she's just a regular mom. She's just, kids. She tried her best with those. No, no, I'm being facetious. She, listen, Mark sent me the script and I just fell in love with it. I thought, this is one hell of a family, and I think I need to be a part of it. It was, uh, I love the outside forces of the movie. I love the madness of it. I love the physicality of it. And, everybody has dysfunction in their family, and welcome to ours.
That's a great way to open that up, because this is dysfunction dialed up to 11.
Well, you can blame Mark for that,
That's
Yep.
I mean,
What can I tell you?
I don't know what goes on in Newfoundland, but I'm telling you.
This.
this.
Yeah,
This is
clearly.
what goes on in Newfoundland.
Yep.
You okay?
I come from the suburbs of Willowdale. This is like,
But normally we're having a few beers while it's happening, so it's
yeah,
not
that's
so
good.
bad. You know what I mean?
Right, right, of course. Well,
I love the extremity of it. I love to me it was like going back to the theater, and there was sort of this no holds barred. Like, it was really fun to be in Mark's sandbox, and he never said no. So away we went.
I mean, this is, like I said, your character and this film, it goes for broke. Like, it just keeps going. It keeps getting deeper into it.
Well, I felt like some movies, like especially nowadays, like I think film is changing. I think we're seeing that more and more, and I don't like to think too objectively, but like you want to hook an audience, you want to get them in there, and
Mhm.
I just felt like I don't like I clearly don't like tepid movies. I like movies that really go for something. And this one, I was like, what if we just kept driving off
Mhm.
the cliff? Like, what if we just keep it going? And you set that up in the beginning of the movie to let the audience know this is not present day, normal, regular life. This is almost some kind of other universe. And to do that and to make it sell to the audience, you kind of have to present things that are just a little bit off. And you see that in the sky. There's like the sky is kind of red and something's happening there. and what time and place is this? And we're kind of dressed like we're almost from the 70s, sort of. So when you put everything just a little off kilter, I think it makes the audience lean in a little bit more, and they're curious about what this is. So it's a fine balance because you want to maintain the audience, but also intrigue them beyond just the story so that they will buy the story, even if it's wild and crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the visuals here actually as well, because I think what you're saying there leans into this, because the visuals here, there's such a stark contrast between darkness and light, and it's just, and well, not to put too fine a point on it, but bleeding reds.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what was going through your mind as you were assembling the look of the film.
Well, we chose every red in the movie was very specifically chosen. Even they're listening to a radio, Sheila and Anna Ferguson, who plays Sheila's mom in the movie, and the radio is red. It's like there's this threat of infection, and it's even in the sky because these people are so caught up in themselves. So we chose that very specifically of when we see red and how red is used, because it does feel like it's being rubbed too much. And then things kind of cool down with these aqua colors, which we use quite a bit, when there's more like kind of discussion about what to do. And those colors were used a lot in the 70s. Like that's a very common color. For example, in The Exorcist, they use that a lot, and in old Bertolucci movies like The Last Emperor and whatnot. So we try to counterbalance that very specifically.
Well, it works. It works, and it brings the film to life. I want to circle back to the idea of evil as an infection. And I would love to hear from you both about this idea, because, I mean, certainly this is a film that, like you said, is talking about family drama. But it doesn't stay there. That by adding in the supernatural element, there is something a little bit more to it. You already talked about the tension between dementia and possession, but there is this sense that evil here is really being spread throughout the family. I'm wondering both of your thoughts.
Well, if I could just, the thing about, I love your question, and it's not something that we are aware of
Mm.
in the film. And it feels like through no fault of our own, we are the victims of something in an outside force. So that when the barrier of a parent dies and you are off the edge of the cliff, that's something that happens to every single person when their parents die, and then they are the next ones to fall off the cliff. And I think Mark's taken that idea, I think, if I could say, Mark, and
Yep.
then colored it with the exterior forces of evil. So that's because that's a terrifying concept, to now be the oldest ones in the family. And I know it. I feel it when my parents died, that barrier is gone. And then it just seems like Mark took that idea and made it bigger.
Yeah, and I think certainly I think I agree. And I think it's also when you're going through grief or loss or hate or resentment, it consumes you. And I think you can drudge it up to be something even bigger than what it is. And I think I'm taking that and then going to the next level with it, because not unlike in my first movie, The Righteous, it's like he takes something that's happening and has made it mean everything. And that's why it's even in the sky in the movie. We almost get objective with it. This movie is really objective. Even for Annika, Georgina's character, it's like it's not through her eyes. We're watching these people. And I think that that's a fascinating notion of when you're swept up in emotion and in resentment, and the way you see the world becomes tainted.
Yeah, yeah, and yet in the midst of this, there's this fascinating conversation, and it is truly fascinating about love. Obviously, not a love story, but it kind of is, and this tension, the idea, the best way to confront evil is with loving people in the midst of that darkness.
Yeah, and I think that comes out of Georgina's character because she was asked to do something. She was tasked with taking care of her family, essentially. And she ran away to God and thought God would just handle her problems. And you can't expect anyone to just handle your problems. You need to handle them. And I think for her character, she has seen that, like, if I can find a strength within me, then that strength is love.
Mm.
And the only way for me to turn evil into goodness is for me to have that certainty and that strength. And I'm not trying to preach that so much, but I do believe that, like, when you hate something and you just keep hating it, does that solve the problem?
Mhm.
No, it doesn't. It just exacerbates it. So if you can admire it and find something in it, it doesn't mean you have to love it every day, but in this case, that is what she has to face. So what will that mean for her? Because we've all been in those situations where you're dealing with a parent or a loved one or a friend or a child who has given you every reason to hate them or
Mhm.
want to abandon them, and you don't.
Mhm.
And I just think that that's a powerful idea.
Yeah, and what we see in this character is that fight to keep that connection, and which I really appreciated. There, I mean, there's certainly a sense of damage that's been done without giving any spoilers. There's been damage that's been done in the family,
Yeah.
but these characters are still sort of said, will that define who we are now?
Mhm.
And I think that's why it's up to sort of Georgina's character to try and break that.
Mm.
And I think the other ones aren't capable. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
they're just not capable. It's too much. I've been damaged too much. I don't want to deal with this. This is a lost cause. And then what happens is you put labels on one another. You do that a lot of times with siblings or friends or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, you're like this. Well, you're
Mhm.
like that.
Mm.
And it's so hard to move past that. And the only way to really move past that is to accept somebody and find a strength that you can accept them. And I think that's what Georgina's character is struggling with so much,
Mhm.
because Sheila's character has given her every reason to not feel that. And they don't even, what's interesting is, like, they don't even really converse much. Georgina's character approaches Sheila in the bed one night and then can't even do it. Like,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
so, yeah, it says a lot about abandonment and, you know, loving someone unconditionally.
And how many families don't ever do that? They just
Yeah.
stay in their part of the ring and don't forgive and don't forget and
Yeah.
hang on to that. And that's the salvation of Georgina being able to do that.
Yeah,
So
and
rare,
it's so
very
hard,
rare.
and it might be awful, because sometimes the person who's harmed you,
Mhm.
even though maybe you should get away, like, that's why it's like
Mhm.
there's questions posed, but you're sort of tied to them in a way.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you see that all the time, people in abusive relationships.
Yeah,
You're still
totally.
there. It's like, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
compelled to stay. So I'm not even saying it's necessarily the right thing for her to do. It's
Mhm.
just what she feels like she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, having said that, Sheila, for you, stepping into the role of Harriet, like
Mhm.
I love this. This is phenomenal. And I love this conversation going on there. But you, as the kids say, totally ate this role. Uh, I'm too old to get away with that sort of slang, but I'm just saying, like, you're incredible. You're
Oh,
incredible in this role.
well, thank you.
And
We only had 15 days. I had no time to think about it. And I had a broken arm, and Mark said, "Great, we'll use it." And so literally we hit the ground running, and I've never had more fun in my life than making this film. It was just great. I don't remember it being hard. It was just an incredible time
And I
for
just
us
want to say,
all.
Sheila had to put on like prosthetic makeup, and it took hours and hours and hours. And I remember walking by, I pretended I was like just going to the bathroom just to check, because you don't want to pressure makeup people. You don't want to make them think you're coming
Oh,
by every two
God.
seconds. So I
Listen,
just,
as long as I could still drink Starbucks, I was fine. I
no,
was
well,
fine.
I'm going to note that for
I mean,
on the
that's the
next one.
standard. That's the standard right there.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
no, it's, and
Yeah.
then we just had to go, and it's like, let's do a few takes.
Yeah.
It's like, it's great. It's
I
great.
mean, honestly, I love being directed and I love, being putty in someone's hand. And that's what it felt like. And this great cast of like Georgina and Caroline, like the whole Sean Doyle, like everybody was just up for this particular project. It was great.
Well, I would ask you this. I mean, stepping into the role as you did, um, is there anything redeemable about Harriet in this film in your mind?
Oh, yes. I mean, she loved her mother and her heart was broken when Mama died. So absolutely. And I mean, she loved her children as best she could. Um, um, but I think her failing, and when I play a character, I love to look at what are they not good at. That to me is a huge sandbox to play in. And there's just so much about Harriet that she's not very good at that.
But
I
you
mean,
know, You know what was great? My favorite
Great.
parts of Sheila in the movie are there's a part where her mother is putting her to bed. She finishes reading her story and she says, "Read it again." And
Yeah.
it's just like so touching. And then at the end, I still can't believe that you took this direction so well right away. There's a part where her mother, played by Anna Ferguson, is leaving the room and she says, "You've given me a good life," Sheila's character. And Anna says, "I've tried. I love you." And she says it like that. It's a very odd, kind of distant way of saying it. And I asked Sheila, I said, "Can you say I love you back? Like you don't know what the words mean. You're just saying it back to her because she doesn't really understand." And you did it like that. You said, "I love you." Like, and it's just
Oh,
it's
wow.
like it's weird and but it's sad and it's like 10 things at once. And it's a really tough direction to sort of take because it's
Well, she's very childlike, and that's,
yeah,
that was so fun. I mean, she,
yes. It was I thought it was brilliant. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, honestly, the film itself is it like it really pops, and I mean that in the best of ways. Like it's intense, it's scary, but in a totally unique way,
Oh,
while still balancing that with the supernatural elements. It's really something
thank you, man.
special.
That's really
Thank you
nice. I
both.
really
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
that.
really great. Mark and I talked a lot about the film Orphanage. That was a huge, I loved that film. It's one of my favorite films, and that it walked that line between being incredibly moving and incredibly scary. And I think that's what, I just that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
rare combination.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Mhm.
Very fine line,
Yeah.
especially when you're editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I know we're out of time, but I will say the editing in this film actually helps too because there's so much jumping as tensions build, moving back and forth between images.
Yeah. And
Um,
she becomes our editor. She's tremendous. She's a really, really good editor. In fact, my favorite cut movie of this cut scene of the movie is when we're discussing whether we need to consider exorcism,
yep.
which is with Sean Doyle. He's in the main living room. And that's my favorite edited scene. And she edited that like together because I do it bit by bit as we're shooting. And she showed me that, and we never touched it since.
Wow.
Her editing of that was so pitch perfect, it never changed all the way through. So credit to her. She's a great editor.
Well, honestly, the film is great. I really appreciate the chance to talk with you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you a
You too.
million. That was really fun.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you.
really nice. Thank you.
This is
Thank
great.
you. Okay.
Mark O'Brien, director, and Sheila McCarthy, the star of The Voices of Our Mother. Thanks again. Have a great day to you both.
Take care, man.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thanks. Bye bye.